I work with all libraries within the U.S. and internationally to bring them on board the PALAS project. And Nash is part of our team. And Nash, I'll have you go ahead and tell a little bit about yourself and your role here at PALAS.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nash Steele. Like Cav mentioned, I'm the Senior Operations Coordinator on the PALAS team, and I do all things BiblioBoard content, which we're going to be talking about here today. So I handle relationships with different publishers to get you guys great content and great licensing terms. So thank you all for being here. I'm really excited to talk about this today.
All right, and perfect. And Tara, since you're on, some folks I'm sure are familiar with who you are, but if anyone who has not joined previous, oh, sorry, I'm hearing that I'm a little muffled. But Tara, let me have you go ahead and introduce yourself, and I'll try to work this out on the back end.
Absolutely. Hi, I'm Tara Carpenter, and I've met many of you already. For those that I haven't, it's nice to virtually meet you. I am the implementation lead on the PALAS project. So as your libraries are getting configured, I'll be working with you and your team to get you launched live in the app. And then afterwards, I'll still be with you if you ever need tech support or any kind of help. So yeah, I'll be very involved with the process here with you. Please feel free. I'll put our email here in the chat. And it's support@thepalasproject.org. So if you ever have any questions or any kind of issues, you can just send a message to us there and we're happy to assist. So let me get that email in here. Okay, and Cav might still be working here.
No, I think I'm good. Can anyone tell me if I still sound muffled? You can just shout it out.
You're sounding okay to me, Cav. I will let you know if we get any other reports that it's not clear. I think audible, it just wasn't super crisp.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. All right, so let's get started, everyone. I'll try to talk a little louder as well. We're going to cover a couple things within the agenda. First, we're going to talk about some learning outcomes, and then I'm going to cover some BiblioBoard collection and the highlights and what makes BiblioBoard special or very unique to the PALAS project. And then we're going to discuss our licensing models and give you a few examples of some content that we have available as well. And then last but not least, we'll wrap up with how to purchase content and provide a sheet with some resources and references. And then, of course, questions do not have to wait till the end. You're more than welcome to pepper them in throughout the presentation. All right, so let's get started. So BiblioBoard collection, what the learning outcomes are for today is you want to identify how to maximize your budget and your grant fund. So we have libraries that work with PALAS specifically, and they look to the BiblioBoard content because it has a really great reach for the audience in which they're trying to serve or their patrons that they're trying to serve. So it is content that can be used for your library individually, your consortium, or statewide collection. And we do want you all to discover favorable licensing models that we support to allow for access and growth for diverse collections and to bring awareness to major publishers as well as lesser known, but also award-winning authors that some of your patrons or many of your patrons may not be aware of. We want you to identify how to request uniquely curated collections with the PALAS Project's BiblioBoard collection, and that's really where we get to the purchasing aspect of BiblioBoard and how to go about that. Next slide. So the highlights. Favorable licensing models. I know everyone's hearing that a lot. Favorable licensing models is something that no matter where you go, whether you're at ALA, PLA, GALA, everywhere you go, you're going to hear favorable licensing models, but they're not all created equal. So we'll talk about that and show you exactly what makes PALAS and the BiblioBoard collection unique and why we really stick to that term favorable licensing model and how it really is mission aligned with the libraries that we serve. BiblioBoard has over 40,000 titles available that libraries can source from, and that collection is growing. We do source new publishers regularly. We also encourage that libraries that are interested in working with specific publishers to offer certain licensing models that we're going to present today, to please reach out to me or Nash to let us know what publishers that you'd be interested in having to come on board. I will say most recently we brought on Lock for Kids and Jump and several other new publishers, and we were able to have them work with us in the manner in which we see best suited for libraries. And that's because of the advocacy that we're continuously doing on behalf of the libraries that we serve. Right now, there's 60+ publishers, and again, that is growing. Our main goal for the collection, for the BiblioBoard collection, is to make sure that libraries have content that is always available. Like for those that have already downloaded the app or are using the Palace Project app, of course, you know, one of the main draws is that we want to make sure that when you're in the app, it shows always available content so that when your patrons are going into the app, they're not as frustrated that a title may be on hold, but they're seeing everything that's available for them to lend at that very moment. Usability and accessibility. These are the formats that BiblioBoard content is made available in. And of course, all of that content is seamlessly integrated into the Palace app, the same way you would have any of your Overdrive content or Baker and Taylor content, Biblioteca content, Palace Marketplace content, and so forth. Lastly, BiblioBoard collection offers 30+ world languages, and those are mainly available for our ebooks. And that goes beyond, again, what the Palace Marketplace has to offer. I know the Palace Marketplace right now has about 8 languages available, including English. But with BiblioBoard, if you're looking for a more diverse collection with multiple languages outside of what we offer in the Palace Marketplace, BiblioBoard will be definitely a great place for you to source those languages for your communities. Next slide, please. So our licenses and what types are available. Now, I did mention that we are very unique in the licenses model that we offer, as well as favorable. Now, perpetual use, of course, we know perpetual use is when your library's collection year after year, you're not going to have to purchase additional content for that particular title. It's a one-time fee. There's no need to renew that particular title on an annual basis or a biannual basis. We also have our simultaneous use and unlimited and or perpetual. And I say and or because some of our publishers that we work with will offer the content in a subscription model or a perpetual or both models. And so there's lots to choose from regardless within the 40,000 plus titles that we have available with the BiblioBoard collection. We want to ensure that libraries, just one more, thank you. We want to make sure that libraries are reducing the hold queues. And so this is what we think is really great for when libraries are trying to do various programs within their communities, or they're trying to do some book reads, book clubs, or summer reading programs. This is where our simultaneous use and unlimited licensing models really do come into play. Now, with the annual subscriptions, though they are simultaneous and unlimited, those are for ebooks, as I mentioned, but we also have a subset of annual subscriptions for audiobooks. However, for the sake of the Georgia State Library grant, currently you're not able to utilize any of the funding from the grant or any subscription content. However, just know that when the grant period has ended and you are purchasing, or should you decide to purchase content from the Palace Marketplace or our Palace eBooks e-content ecosystem, you're welcome to do that. And of course, we can provide you with pricing for subscription models as well. Next slide, please. Now, I mentioned the community reads or summer reading program. And this is an example here, what I mentioned earlier about having your BiblioBoard collection live right in the app amongst any of your other collections that you source, or any other titles that you source from either be Blacks Unlimited, Palace Marketplace, Overdrive, and all the other e-content providers. So we're really trying to work with publishers on a case-by-case basis. So when Nash specifically works with publishers on your behalf, she is advocating on your behalf by negotiating the licensing terms and the licensing models that I've since described. We're looking for first perpetual access to your licenses, to the license models. We're looking for simultaneous licensing as well as unlimited licensing. And of course, there is always the option for subscription, but the first three is what we're really pushing for, and that has been the most benefit to all of our libraries who have source content from the BiblioBoard collection. I am happy to announce that the Georgia State Library did purchase their children's collection from the BiblioBoard collection, and that is perpetual, simultaneous, and unlimited use. So when you're all, and many of your libraries have already adopted PALIS or have been implemented with PALIS, all of that content will flow directly into your PALIS app for your patrons. And that, again, will never have a hold queue for, and you'll never have to worry about repurchasing that content. I like to call it the set it and forget it model. You purchase it, it's good content, and it stays within your collection perpetually for you. Next slide, please. Now, I'm actually going to pass the baton over to Nash, who's going to go into a little bit more detail in a granular fashion for you regarding the content itself and highlight some titles for you as well. Nash?
Hi, everyone. So yeah, like Cav mentioned, I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about the kind of content that we're offering, the different publishers that we currently work with. And like she mentioned, what's really exciting about this opportunity is if you decide to participate, you can get perpetual content that will be added right to that statewide collection that Georgia has already kicked off. So it's an exciting opportunity to be able to participate and allow new content to be available not only to your patrons, but across the state and be a part of that collection. So like Cav mentioned, everything that we have in the BiblioBoard collection is available in a perpetual license. So it will never go away. You have it forever. It's also simultaneous use and unlimited. So we have adult fiction and nonfiction, as well as children's and young adult titles, comics and graphic novels, world language materials, DEIA, local, indigenous, and LGBTQ content, and over 60 publishers available with 40,000 titles and growing. So here's an example of some of our popular adult fiction and nonfiction titles. These are from publishers like Barber, Ocean View, Gibbs Smith, Chicago Review Press, and more. So just in our adult category alone, we have over 14,000 titles. And we're always doing updates and adding new content from new publishers, but also getting updated titles from the publishers that we already work with. So this includes, titles that were published this year and the last 2 years. We like to keep things relevant and fresh. So some of the things that we have on the slide here, you can see we've got like clean fiction and romance from Barber. We've got the mysteries and thrillers that everyone loves to read. I know a lot of those are very popular with our library partners, as well as popular nonfiction titles like biographies from not only, cultural and politically relevant people, but also pop culture. We have history and self-help books, just to name a few. Another really popular collection that we offer is graphic novels. So we have just some of our more popular publishers here: Dark Horse Comics, Boom Studios, Valiant Entertainment. We just signed on a new publisher, Marcosia, who is comics and graphic novels as well. Dark Horse is definitely one of our highest circulating publishers that we offer. So they have books like Avatar, Hellboy, The Witcher, Black Hammer, Umbrella Academy, things like that. Boom Studios is also really popular. So that's the Dune book that you're seeing here. They also do Power Rangers, Steven Universe, Grimm, things like that. Avatar has been one of our highest circulating graphic novels for sure. Very popular among the kids and teens. We also offer extensive content in other languages other than English, as Cav mentioned. So we've got 30+ languages. We do have a lot of K through 12 non-English content, but we do have non-English content for adults as well, especially in Spanish, You'll see the editorial terracotta logo here. That's one of the new publishers we just signed on. They have a lot of great fiction and nonfiction books in Spanish. And also Barbara Publishing that I mentioned, that's kind of like a clean fiction, clean romance publisher. They offer titles in Spanish as well. So a wide selection if you're interested in non-English titles. And as Cav mentioned, we're always signing on new publishers, especially if you have, someone that you'd really like to work with, you'd really love to have their books in the collection. We're always willing to reach out to them and see if they're interested in offering their books in these more favorable and sustainable licensing models. So some publishers we signed on recently, Lote for Kids and Era Books. Those are kind of like educational K through 12 and kids books. Shout Mouse Press is a publisher I'm really excited about. They work with marginalized youth and they get originally written works. They help the kids and teens actually publish these books and then they distribute them in bookstores and libraries across the country, which is a really cool publisher. So we just signed them on. And then Marcosia, I mentioned, is a comics and graphic novels. Journey Press is adult sci-fi and fantasy. They specialize on diverse authors, which is exciting too. So this is just an example of a few that we've added, but like I mentioned, we're always bringing in new publishers and always willing to work with anyone that you might be interested in seeing.
All right, thank you, Nash. So how do we go about purchasing the BiblioBoard content? Currently, there are libraries that are working on building carts for collections, part of the grant that's been awarded to you all, but it's going to be a little bit different when it comes to purchasing content from BiblioBoard. We do ask that libraries complete what we call our collection development intake survey, and everything is hyperlinked, and this presentation will be shared with you. With that, we ask a series of questions. We want to know exactly what type of content that you're interested in. What's your budget for the content? What's the pop serve that you're going to be working with in order to have this content shared with? We want to know, do you want content in multiple languages or just only English? Or, we're going to ask a bunch of questions. And really we do that because when Nash goes back to work with pulling information from the various publishers and the title list, she wants to ensure that she's pulling content that's exactly relevant to your request. Now, once that content has been curated for you by way of after having the content intake survey completed, then I myself will go ahead and reach back out to you and I'll provide you what they call a content summary. And that content summary is going to have the number of titles that are available, if an entire collection is purchased, what the discount is associated to that entire collection, if it's a partial purchase of a collection, what that cost is like. Everything is very clear and very well defined within the content summary. After you review the content summary, which is also associated with the title list, and there is a description of the titles as well as all the information you need for that title, you will then, at which point, come back to me, regardless whether it's email or phone call, whatever works best for you, and just say, hey, Cav, this looks great. Either I want to take the entire collection as presented, or I want to trim the fat and I want to remove some of the titles, or I want to remove some of the publishers, and I want it to just look a little different. And then we work with you and do that for you as well until everyone is satisfied. Once that happens, at which point Nash goes ahead and starts the work on the back end and starts to populate the feed with our implementation team to ensure that your feed that you purchase from BiblioBoard rests and lives alongside with the remainder of your content. And once that's done, because this is part of the grant, billing will happen in accordance with what the rules are for your grant. Outside of that, if you're doing a content purchase independently of the grant, then of course you would be invoiced directly with that purchase as well. And those invoices do go out at the beginning of the following month, the same as the Palace Marketplace purchases. Our next slide.
Yeah, we have a question in the chat.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, please.
Okay, sorry, I'm throwing my camera on. So may we have a PDF or something to refer to for the collection development intake survey so we can prepare our answers with staff input?
Yes, I can get you a PDF of the intake survey. That's not a problem. You're welcome, Beth. All right, so this is a copy of what the content summary proposal looks like. There would be a number, again, the number of titles that are available, and the allocated pricing would be here, the price per book, and if there is a discount associated, which normally is a 25% discount that is associated, which the publishers have made available for libraries who purchase the entire collection. So that's another great little gift that we're able to pass along to our library partners as well. And then the next page here is really the cover page. And on the cover page, we're going to give you some descriptions regarding the publishers that you would have seen in your title list. So I know when Nash was speaking, she was saying Marcosia does graphic novels and they're popular with children and teens. You'll kind of get like a one-liner, two-liner as to what exactly that publisher is well known for. So as you're going through that, you'll have a better sense of exactly how that mirrors with the request that you've made. There is going to be on our resources page when we get to the end, we've included the hyperlink for the most updated publisher list that we have available for BiblioBoard. And that provides you with all of the 60+ publishers, as well as a description as to what those publishers are normally, the content they're normally providing. So that's a great way to kind of look at that if you're working towards a specific type of collection development project and you wanted to just get titles that were for, you know, or graphic novel titles or nonfiction titles or sci-fi titles, you'll be able to really use that as a guide if you wish to do that. Or you can leave it to Nash, as she knows the publishers like the back of her hand, and she can go ahead and make those selections for you based on the categories and genres that you choose. All right, next slide. So I'm going to go ahead and pass this back to Nash.
Yeah, so I just wanted to tell you about another exciting project that we do here at Palace. It's the Indie Author Project, and we have a collection of titles called the Indie Author Project Select Commercial Collections. So the Indie Author Project has been around for over 10 years, and it was started as really a way to help local authors get their books into public libraries. So we wanted to support independent authors and allow libraries a way to really support those authors that are in their area and writing really great books. So this collection contains over 1,000 ebooks by independent authors across the US and Canada. And the really exciting thing about this particular collection is that we do all of the vetting and curating. So I know sometimes, you know, you see self-published books from independent authors. You're like, I don't, you know, is this a good book? There are thousands of them out there. Everyone's publishing on Amazon these days. How do we know which books are actually the high quality, really good books that your patrons are going to want to read? So we actually do a curation and vetting process to kind of narrow things down and create this collection of award-winning independent authors. They're New York Times and USA Today best-selling authors. So you can be sure that when you're offering this collection to your patrons, that these are actually great quality books that they're going to want to read. And another exciting thing about the Indie Author Project collection is that it does have local authors. So you can include, you know, books by authors who currently live in Georgia or in the southeast of the US. And the authors actually have the opportunity to earn royalties every time this collection is sold to libraries. So just by purchasing this collection, you're actually supporting local authors in your area and helping to kickstart their careers and generating a creative revenue in your own backyard. The Indie Author Project also has an annual contest every year. So this collection includes the award winners of that contest. And then we choose one winner every year to be the Indie Author of the Year. So it's the best book that we've received that year. So this collection also contains last year's winner, Jamie Fairley, with her book Oil and Dust. And this book is a really great sci-fi adult book. And it's just by winning the Indie Author of the Year award, Jamie has already earned more accolades. She was approached by Writer's Digest to do an interview because of this award. So you can see just by supporting the really great local independent authors in your area, you can really help to make a difference in their career. And also give your patrons really amazing books to read that they might not have found otherwise. So we just wanted to kind of tell you about this other collection. And if you're interested in learning more, you can always reach out to Cav or me, and we're happy to answer any of your questions.
Okay, so this is the resources page. We have, of course, the Palace website. I mentioned the full publisher list that you'll be able to view here. And we also have a Palace BiblioBoard collection demo site. So if you wanted to see some examples of the content that we have from the BiblioBoard collection, obviously 40,000 titles are not going to be in the demo site, but quite a bit of them are going to be there. You can definitely log in using this the username and password here. I've also added on the resources page a hyperlink to the collection development intake survey for BiblioBoard collection specifically. Let me also mention, if you are looking to, or if you need rather assistance with sourcing content in the Palace Marketplace, which many of you are doing now, this is the same form that you would complete. And then our curation core of librarians, which makes up 10 plus librarians across the US, would begin working on sourcing a collection for you. So it's the same exact form that you would use for either BiblioBoard curation or Palace Marketplace curation. If you ever got stuck and said, oh, Palace has over 1.3 million titles, where do I get started? There's a team of folks right here waiting for you guys to assist. And we're always happy to do that. We do let folks know that there's an average of about 2 weeks to get the collection development request returned back. Of course, it depends on the size of the request. So the larger the size could take up to 2 weeks, but we have been able to turn around collection development requests within 5 or so business days. So it really just depends. So always plan accordingly, especially if we're looking at the end date for the grant period. But outside of that, you're welcome to utilize the service as well. There is, of course, a YouTube channel. You'll see some quick and fun videos there. Our community hub, which is managed by our partner success leader, Jill Scarson, which is not on the call today. And then, of course, our Palace Wiki, which are all things that you'd like to know about Palace. And if you have any additional questions at all, you're welcome to contact me directly. I know Nash is pretty busy most of the time, but she also feels some questions as well. But we just wanted to say thank you. If there are any questions, you're more than welcome to unmute yourself and ask them here. Oh, you're welcome, Lyric. I love that name. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it right. Oh, good. You're very welcome, Vanessa. It looks like we're going to be able to give you guys about 28 minutes back of your day. I always say that if there aren't any questions, that means that we did an amazing job. We've probably answered every single question you could have thought of. But again, should something come up and you are interested in learning more about Biblio or seeing a full list of titles or anything else, feel free to give us a ring, an email, a call, smoke signal, bat signal. I prefer Wonder Woman anyway. But anywho, so with that said, I guess we'll bid you all adieu.
Thank you so much, Cav and Nash and Tara, and to our attendees, if you have any ideas or collections that you would like to see prioritized at the statewide level with those STEM Youth Perpetual Access materials. We've had a couple of ideas floated around a Georgia authors collection and other possibilities. In addition to looping in our amazing Palace team, I would love to know what your priorities are. So if we find ourselves in the fortunate position of being able to purchase additional perpetual access SIM use content, please let me know your thoughts. Appreciate your time, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks,
You too.
everyone.
Thanks.
Thanks all.
Okay.
Bye.